Welcome. This is Dr. David D. Schein, Saving America, in our special segment that we call Just the Facts. And we've got a great guest this week. Philip Sharp is a pastor for Church of God International and a U.S. Army infantry veteran, 20 years, 3 combat deployments. He is also the author of Not in the Wind, Earthquake, or Fire, a firsthand account of the Iraqi War. Philip is also the host of a podcast, Rage of the Age, Politics, Religion, Economics, and History with a Conservative Bent. Gosh, that's a good mouthful, isn't it?
It sure is. A very good mouthful.
Philip, where are you located?
I live in Warrenton, North Carolina.
Okay, and that's where your church is located?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Warrenton, I vaguely recognize that. I come from Virginia. So what's the nearest big city?
Yeah. Raleigh's about an hour south of us. Richmond's probably about an hour and a half north of us. We're right on the Virginia border there, off of I-85.
I think I've seen the I've driven from Raleigh up and then across to Norfolk, Virginia. So
I was just in Norfolk last weekend, actually, near the beach there camping.
Yeah. Well, I will be up in Norfolk visiting family. A couple of us family members migrated down to Houston, but the family base is still in Virginia, and I'm hoping we can turn that state red again.
Amen.
Yeah. And I'm hoping a lot of people that are in the military, interestingly, has often voted Democrat, but I'm hoping that there's going to be a swing in that with the way things are trending in this country.
Yeah. I hope so. We'll see how that goes in the process.
Philip, let's get down to our topics for today. Share with our viewers a bit about your book, Not in the Wind, Earthquake, or Fire. And I read some pieces of the book, so I have a rough idea, but I wanted you to share that with our viewers.
At its very base, it's an account of my experience of those who are with me during it was my second deployment at the time. It's in Iraq, 2006 to 2007, in the area called the Triangle of Death. The Iraqis like to call it the graveyard of the Americans. And that was sort of the setting that we're in. Some years after, I wanted to write a book about our deployment because the books on the shelves at the time were written by people that, like, you weren't there, or a commentary, and everyone wants to take the events and they want it to fast forward it to the conclusions they want to be true. And therefore they write the story with that end in mind. And it frustrated me. I just wanted, you're not telling what happened over there, from what we saw. So I wanted to write that. And it was hard to write because I'm trying to remember, did this happen first? And I'd contact other guys. Hey, what was going on when this happened? But then I remembered, hey, knucklehead, you wrote a journal. Why don't you read that? And, you can remember everything that went on. So I started doing that. And then I realized, it'd be easier if I just put the journal in the book, and then I'll just, fill in the backdrop and explain what's going on that maybe in the journal, because it's more personal, I wouldn't have, it's not like I'm explaining it to everybody, right? Yeah. And give them the bigger picture. And I was like, that way I can write this book quicker. But the journal actually made it a long process. It was the book's half written, but it took me three years to write the book because I'm like reliving the deployment again. And I'd read the journal, I'd be doing some writing, and then I'd get angry and I'd quit. And it'd be months before I'd pick it up again. And then I would force myself to do it again. And this process repeated itself. Eventually the book was finished. I waited until I retired from the Army to publish it, which was in 2012, to avoid any, whatever conflicts of anything. And in the book, I didn't, those that I wanted to name for good reasons, I named them. Those that I didn't name, was for I didn't want to be accused of I'm trying to slander somebody. I just wanted to tell the story as it was and not like I'm picking on people specifically. So I referenced like their rank or maybe what they did, but I didn't name them specifically, but I wanted to know what they were doing. I wanted what they were doing to be highlighted as this is not what a professional military looks like. Uh, and then in the book, I realized again, after writing it, that my faith in God is all through my journal.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize at the time writing it, but it's like God's everywhere, scriptures everywhere. I see things and I have this connection to something biblical. And I just thought that was a neat thing to transpire through that. I'm going through this deployment, which is the worst I've ever been through in my military career. And yet there I am hanging on to God through it in the process.
Yeah, fascinating. Following up on that, of course, the United States has just had a very highly publicized military exit from Iraq. I think we're only keeping troops there now to defend the embassy. And I had some odd reaction to that because I understand that the Iraqi government basically said, don't let the screen door hit you in the back on your way out. I mean, they sounded almost like, gee, we're really happy to see you go, and yet they're the guys on the bubble as far as I can tell. So, what did you think about that? Tim, enlighten us a little bit because you've got a great view that the rest of us might not have.
It's tough for their government. As much as it's tough for our government. In their scenario, they can't be seen as fawning over and loving the U.S. Because so in that vacuum, in my mind, we've been pulled out years ago, and that's just the reality. But when the official fanfare takes place, and there's the withdrawal, and everybody wants to make a big deal of it on an anniversary date, like, oh, I don't know, let's pick September 11th, right? And that government has to look like, we are glad they're leaving too, in order to identify with everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to be able to stand on their own feet. A connection I would like to tie is if we look at the prior occupant, which I think we're far more benevolent than the Soviets were in the occupation. When everyone thought that the regime that the Soviets installed would instantly fall the minute the Soviet troops pulled out, and the media was there, and the friendship bridge, and they got all the Soviet troops leaving, and they're like, and everybody's like, oh, it's just a matter of time. Well, what took place was that the government forces that were Afghan fought harder when the Soviets left. And one of the big reasons is they weren't fighting for the Soviets anymore. They were fighting for their own country. That's kind of what they need here. That government does need to kind of disassociate from us in some way to have some kind of measure of respect with the people. Because as far as they see it's our war, why do they want to fight it? They don't. It has to be theirs to take place. The problem is we've just kind of made ourselves a necessity for so long in one way or another that at some point you have to let the child grow up and be the adult.
Well, I think that's a wonderful perspective, and I think it's one that we're not hearing in the media, and hopefully this webcast will get out there and help a lot of other Americans understand this better. It's a great explanation. My third question for you today is tell your viewers about your blog. I love the title of this one, and I understand it. I had a great time reading it. Dear conservative, liberals are not stupid. You are by a conservative. Tell us a little bit about that one. Maybe people go read it like I did.
Yeah, but I've written my past two or three articles I've written have been they've been a surprise to me too, to write them. Like, another one I was like, I don't trust corporations. Another one is like, I wanted to fund the military, and I'm a conservative. For years, it's like, I'm okay with corporations making money. I like our military, right? But now I'm suspicious of them both. But this one in particular, I guess I'm presenting a frustration with me, and I believe I honestly believe a good number of conservatives are starting to think this way. Our knee-jerk reaction as a conservative political force is we see things taking place by the left, and we're like, what is wrong with you? And our immediate response is what? Well, they're just stupid. They don't know what they're doing. Don't they know this would do this and this would do this? And I would consent that there's some logical fallacies that we're looking at where, I can see why you might have come to that conclusion. That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, right? I get it. But the thing we're missing is this isn't them just being dumb. Now, I would probably agree even further that there are those who aren't all there, who are being used by the political machine of the left. And that's the real danger. And when I say political machine, I mean it is a well-organized, threatening machine. It's like the Borg on Star Trek, for those who are familiar with that. They are just this all-encompassing, absorbing apparatus of power, pulling the levers of the left right now. And unfortunately, I think there are many people on the left who are, they're not these crazy people. They're not these far left-wing people. And they have these certain ideals that they want lived up to, but they're kind of being grabbed into this power apparatus that is absolutely running the left right now. So when I talk about the left doing these things, that's what I'm talking about, is those who are actually making things happen that we're going, wow, that's stupid. They're doing it on purpose. This is all part of a strategy. This isn't like, let's just break windows and cause riots. If you notice, if you really pay attention, all of these events that make the news, they're organized. And it's always at specific places. It's almost like they know where to even put the camera for the shot before the event even happens, right? Everything happens like it's choreographed. Yeah. And then suddenly it's in all these different cities at once. And again, we happen to have these, cameras there and ready to capture it. And everybody's saying the exact same things. This is coached. It's planned out.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there's just innumerable examples. I read in the last couple of weeks that AOC has ordered $1.4 million of T-shirts and other logo materials to sell through her campaign website. She's capitalizing on this. This is and it's lovely because think of the word, it's capitalism, right, with a capital C. And Bernie Sanders has got 3 houses. A person who's had no visible contribution to the United States, never held a real job. And he's got 3 houses. Somebody gave him I don't think you got an advance on your book. I know I didn't get an advance on my book. Somebody gave him an advance on his book, a couple $1 million. And so I think what you're saying is that this is unfortunately a very destructive approach, but one that gets them where they want to go, which is all about the power grab. And
exactly.
They're rolling and they're convincing a lot of people that they're the force, and yet it's really quite sad what we're seeing. So hopefully more people are going to wake up to the fact that this is what it is, and see if we get things settled down a little bit. Phil, we try and keep these short so that people will actually watch them, and you've been great today. We've had a great time having you on. Tell people how they can get more information about you.
Well, website ragetheage.com has basically that's like the pooling of everything that I put out, from blogs to videos to the podcasts. The podcast can be found on basically any platform that plays that you use for your podcast. You will find Rage of the Age podcast on there. I have a Twitter handle, which is Rage of the Age now. Sometimes I'll be involved, sometimes I'm not. That's where I'll put some things, updates. Facebook page, Rage the Age, exists if you use that platform. The latest things that come out are put on there. If you like that page, then you'll get updates of what's coming. And then if I have a minute, I just want to say, in light of the article I'm talking about, that they're not stupid. We are. don't just follow people like me. And I'm a small fish compared to like some, bigger conservative commentators who put out are just really awesome. Just following them and that's your whole life, we're losing. We are not organized. We have to organize. We have to get better at countering this political machine of the left that is doing the destruction we're seeing. Just calling them stupid and following somebody on some, platform will not confront the threat that's really out there.
Thank you so much, Philip Sharp. We appreciate your service to God and our country. And we hope that people will tune in and follow you in the future. This is Dr. David Schein closing out this week's Just the Facts for Saving America.